Something that's good to think about is what makes a good question. So, for example, what we're about to watch is a good question in that it's something the students are interested in and it elicits a good answer. But does it really explore the deeper things that we would want to discuss in a dialogue?
Hi, my name is Olga, and I was just wondering, you guys are all wearing looks like uniforms, so I was wondering if you guys have to wear those at school and if you guys like it or not. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sajal. Respect my uniform as it brings a sense of uniformity and it finishes all discrimination against religion and caste and everything. Like if people are somehow rich and poor, so it erases all those. Thank you.
So, a good question is one that helps us dig down into the important and challenging things. So, one that helps us to explore values, attitudes, ethics, beliefs, and faith. All those things in the student's experiences. So, a good question is one that points towards those. But it's worth noting the question we've just heard produced an answer that potentially could have taken us there. If the students then go back to say, well, what do you mean by caste? What do you mean by these differences? What do you mean by those diversities? It's an interesting way of finding a way into discussing those. Now, in terms of what makes a good question, let's have a look at a couple of examples and think about why they're particularly good.
I'm Alice. The college we go to is very multicultural, and although it's officially a Catholic college, only about 50% would class themselves as Catholics. The rest are made up of lots of different faiths. We were just wondering whether your school is predominantly one faith or whether you're similar to us and made up of lots of different ones. Thank you.
Alice's question is so good because she gives such a lot of setup, she gives such a lot of context. She actually spends more time telling people than she does asking people. So her question is really, really clear. It's very obvious exactly what she's looking for. Now, one thing facilitators always ask about is this whole business of response questions. That is a question that arises in response to what students have heard. Let's look at a couple of good examples. In both of these, you'll hear the students referring to what they have heard as part of the setup for the question. This is really good practice.
Hi, my name is Isaiah from William Ellis. I'll just like to ask you, you just said about your parks and how damp and no one's really there and you like to go often. If it changed and the government over there helped you build a park and helped you, would you go with your friends and make new friends? And how do you think your community will be?
And you know how you guys said that when you guys were answering your questions, it seems like that your community had a sense of almost like they were close. What do you guys do in your community to make yourself close? Thank you.
So a response question is one that is building on what students have heard. I'm going to show you one more example of this, and then I'm going to let it play on so you can see the diversity of answers that a response question gets, because a response question is, because it's already saying I'm listening to you, it's sending students a strong message that they're going to be listened to when they speak again. So we get a lot of good responses to a response question, from which of course we can ask further response questions. Here's the example.
Hello, my name is Kenneth Walmsley. If in Palestine, if you believe that education doesn't involve exterior wealth when you finish, what do you believe the purpose of education is in Palestine?
Hi, my name is I am Nadine. If I finish my education, I think I want to be a doctor, for example, to help the wounded people, or to be a lawyer to defeat for needy people. And I want to help the Palestinian in any way. So it's good to be a rich for me.
Hi, I am Rahaf. I think education is important to me because it's not important that I want to be a rich person in my job and have a lot of money, but to know that I have a position in the society and I have a great job that can help my community.
So as you can see, response questions really help us to start to move towards dialogue. So how do we turn questions into dialogue? Well, one of the great things about questions is, particularly response questions, we've got interest on both sides. We've got opinions, a range of opinions. And just sharing those will give us a really good step towards it. So what I want to do is have a look at a couple of examples and unpack them a little bit so it's easy to see the separate stages. So let's start off by looking at the first question.
So I have a question about your school and how religion plays in that, because we learned about a little bit of your school, which is sort of from this end looks like a science and technology school. So how do you put religion without conflicting with that? Thank you.
So this is a very strong question, particularly so because it's a response question. It's starting off by responding to something she's already heard. Now, the great thing about this is being a big question about science and religion. It's something people will have lots of opinions about and something that we can bounce back to both schools so we can get a range of opinions and ideas from both schools.
Well, for me, it's the same because I don't believe in God, but I but I study science, so I believe in it.
Hi, I'm Pietro, and I in our school we study religion and also science. But when we study religion, we are free to we are free to study every religion. We don't study only our religion, only Catholic religion. We are open to other other religions, other beliefs.
Roberto, I believe in God, and I think that God and science aren't two different things. Because if I go in a church sometimes, but I think that if we speak about science, we can't say that religion isn't a good thing. But we have to consider too many ideas and opinions. Thanks.
Okay, so we've had a good question, we've had good answers and a range of answers. Some people saying, I'm not religious, I believe in science. Others putting forward a more nuanced perspective. But it's such a good question. What's going to happen now is the facilitator is going to kick it back to the school that originally asked it. And this is something that's really good practice.
Would the students in the US like to respond to what they've just heard and what they think about that? Thank you.
I'm Kevin, and I kind of agree with a lot of the things you guys said. I think that like one of the beauties of science is that it has the power to like kind of reinforce what you believe in. For example, I believe in God, and I think I find that science actually sort of proves the belief in God, but maybe for someone who doesn't, it may disprove it.
So it looks like we're doing really well. We're building up effective dialogue around a common question, a common interest where everyone's got an opinion, everyone can contribute. So that's the beginning of good dialogue built out of questions. Now what was interesting here was what happened next, because it was a little unpredictable and a bit unusual. So have a look and then we'll talk about it a little more.
Hi, I'm Alex, and I had a question. How do you feel that technology, like computers and electronics, have helped shape religion, or how it has affected religion in Italy? Thank you.
And at this point what happens is a student asks a question. What's quite interesting though is that it's a very good question in many respects. It's eliciting interesting information, but it's not a response question, so it's not building on what people have said before. So the effect is actually to shut the dialogue down. we had a lot of back and forth of ideas on a similar shared subject, which was doing really well. So by asking this question, a pre-prepared question, not a response question, we shut the dialogue down. So it's worth reflecting. Now, obviously your facilitator will pick this up and go back to the dialogue we were having before, but it's worth reminding students that they have a responsibility here as well. I just want to finish today by going back to look at the main topic for this video, which is of course how we build dialogue from asking questions. So here's another example of the way that some students have done it, putting together questions and answers around a shared idea to build dialogue.
Hello, my name is Sumer, and my question is that what are the multicultural activities that are in Wales, in your area? What are the holidays that you celebrate? What are the national holidays that you have in the country?
Hi, because we're a Catholic school, the only real faith-based festivals that we celebrate are Easter and Christmas. We have an assembly that everybody has to attend. I think that's about all the festivals. We celebrate St David's Day as well, which is our patron saint of Wales. Yeah.
And we do have a lot of masses in a week as well, organised by our priest, Father Siemens, who's in the college with us, and he does take masses for various religious festivals all the time. They're not compulsory, so it's a matter of choice whether you want to go to those or not. And in our area, I would say, again, would be the major sort of national holidays like Christmas, Easter and Lent, but sometimes they get a bit commercialised. It's more about the presents and the chocolate instead of, the religious reasons, and so that's the only shame about our celebrations of those.
I think there's also quite a large portion of Muslims in the college. I think there is a room where they're allowed to go to pray. So I think we do, there's no discrimination, but I don't think we really do anything necessarily to celebrate festivals of other religions.
We don't really see like
festivals
of like
I don't think we're really exposed to many of the festivals. I think we know bits about what's going on, but we're not really involved necessarily. What sort of festivals are you involved in your school? Thank you.
Like my friends mentioned, there is a morning assembly in which if there is a festival around the corner, that festival's importance is talked about. Why is it celebrated? Who celebrates it? What significance does it hold in the religion? But to kind of extend that, I would say.
So here we had lots of people getting involved, and we had agreement and possibly the potential for disagreement within one classroom, discussion actually happening within the classroom as well as across the VC link. We had one question that came from one school being answered, having different answers from different students, and then being knocked back. That's a good step in the right direction for dialogue.